Good afternoon and welcome to the Small Business Cheerleader podcast. I'm Nicola Willis from NW Marketing, the Small Business Cheerleader, and I'm here today joined by Renee Andrews from the wonderful Salon Society, and we're here to talk about her journey in the hair and beauty industry and how a passion for giving back has driven her to create her own business. And there's just so many exciting things on the horizon that I thought I'd have her on and we'd chat about all things social media and the industry of hair and beauty. How are you today, Renee?
I'm good, Nicola. Thank you so much for having me.
No, wonderful. I think it's going to be a conversation that's great for those that are at a point in their life where they're looking for more or they're looking to give back to an industry they love. And I'd love for you to tell everyone your background in hair and how that's got you to the point where you are now in the next stage of growing your own business.
Yeah, awesome. So I've been a hairdresser for the last 20 years. And my hairdressing career, I feel like for me, has always been strongly driven by my desire to always educate myself. I think that's the thing I love most about hairdressing is how you have the chance to be constantly learning and, keeping up with what is happening trend-wise. So for me, I have been super passionate about that. And so for me, I took myself off in 2013 to Canada and I worked abroad over there, which was just a real dream for me. And it was only while I was there that I discovered a hair care brand, which was actually Australian. And when I landed in this small little town, they were like, "Oh, you're Aussie, you'll know this is an Aussie brand," and it was KEVIN.MURPHY. And I'd never actually heard of KEVIN.MURPHY before I left. And so anyway, fast forward, I'm in Canada and I was asked by their distribution there to, if I would be interested in doing education. And back over there, they do things very differently to Australia. They had a program at the time, which was called a Gold Key. So I went through some awesome training by their North American educators. And while I was there, I was fortunate enough, we started going into salons and supporting them and training up stylists on the KEVIN.MURPHY brand. And that's where my love and passion for that brand just really came to light. I loved everything that it was about, and I just loved everything, every detail, I guess. So fast forward, returned to Australia to get married in 2013. And when I returned, I just had this real deep desire to land into either a salon that had KEVIN.MURPHY or just be able to find out how I could actually educate myself and be of service in the same space. Unfortunately, it wasn't a program that transferred from North America to Australia. So I just went back into a salon for 12 months. And at the time I begged my salon owner if he could please get KEVIN.MURPHY in. He did. And when I did that, I ended up then just feeling like I just wasn't being in the salon wasn't for me anymore. I really wanted to be with the brand itself. So so I ended up getting into a business consulting role with KEVIN.MURPHY. And through that, I started to be going into salons and supporting salon owners. And that for me was just where I really felt like I was my best self. Naturally, my nature, I love to support people. And so for me to be in an industry that I love and be able to support them with all things training and education, that was just something that I absolutely loved. So yeah, that's how I began.
I love that because, see, isn't it amazing how when we go through an industry that we originally start with, we can pivot and turn and find areas of it in which we really excel and it lights us up. And some people are happy when it comes to just one side and some people are happy with another. And to see that you just absolutely thrive in the education sphere is just so wonderful to find out because, as you said, you could then take that to another level in your career and take it to educating salon owners themselves in a product that you love and in a way that they can help their own salon. And what did you find from dealing with salons day in, day out, different salons now, because you're obviously dealing with a variety in a consulting role? What were they dealing with, the salons, when it comes to their own businesses, and what challenges were they facing, did you find?
Quite honestly, the biggest thing that I found was that salon owners were just so time poor. They just didn't have time for anything, meetings that were typically, generally 30 minutes. Some you were lucky to get 5 or 10 minutes. So I learned that you really had to, get in there and just get straight to the point of what you needed to deliver and respect that, because as a business owner myself now, I understand that how time poor, you can be. The other thing was also struggling with, the way that the industry has evolved. Like if you look back from 20 years ago to now, hairdressing has evolved in just such a large scale, from never taking photos or never doing anything to market yourself before, really, other than a flyer in a letterbox. And I deal with this with a lot of my salon owners now, saying, we just used to put flyers in the mail, to now, having to create a whole social media platform and so many streams of your marketing. So yeah, it's really just evolved for salon owners, and I felt like for them that was a really big overwhelming feeling that they had, and they just really weren't sure of how to navigate it, and also just not having the time to really sit and be with it. So yeah, that was definitely the biggest thing.
And that's the thing. So you were in that, seeing that day in, day out as a consultant, and then because you were so passionate about the industry, you saw a gap in the market there for where you could use your skills as having been in a salon for so long, having been overseas in a salon and seeing how they do it there. And then coming back with all of this knowledge, you were able to create your own business now the last few years in regards to helping them to overcome that time poor when it comes to socials. So that's how Salon Society was formed, in regards to making sure that they could get access to all of this new social media world and didn't have to do it all themselves. So fill us in on how that pivot happened for you and how that's working with the salons you work with now.
Yeah, so the big moment for me would have been sitting down with one of my my very first client that I had, and she was probably one of my first, clients that I dealt with. And I remember her saying, I know I've got to get onto this social media stuff, but I just can't be bothered. And I remember saying to her, look, I have no experience in this world, I said to her, but if you're happy to hand that over to me, and I'm happy to, again, for me, educate myself and invest. So I literally knew that I was wanting to start a family. So 2018, I started seeking out coaching in the space of Instagram and just wanting to learn, and used hers as a bit of a test of what I could do potentially. So I took that on, and that's where it all kind of started, was, me testing it out and having a go. And the thing was we just started to see such an improvement. People started to comment. And then in the industry, other people started saying, oh, who was doing your socials? Who's doing this? That looks great, So that's where I guess the Salon Society idea came in. And I also knew, for me, I wanted to become a mum, and I wanted to also be present with my kids. So for me, being able to, create a business doing what I loved, but also being able to do it from home was really important for me. So yeah, that's essentially how it all kind of came about. So that was in 2018. And when I went to have my daughter in 2020, we had gone from having one social media account, and we had literally gone up to 8. So it grew very quick, and I realized that was because that demand for salon owners just wanting back time, because it's something that it can't be bought, and so they just wanted to be supported. They wanted to know when we would meet up, what is it that I need to be doing? What do we need to be doing? They didn't want to have to go and research, what it is they needed to do to stand out. They wanted someone to literally do that for them, and then just present it to them at a monthly meeting, and go through with that, and then task their stylists with what they needed to do as well. So yeah, that's how it all kind of.
And that's again, when it comes to being an authority in the industry, you had been there, you know what needs to be out there in the world, because you had explored now the social media world and what was needed for businesses to stand out. But you also knew what salon owners had, what behind the scenes, what stylists needed, and you could put that all together. So they could trust you to know, instead of having somebody who had never been involved in the industry come in and try and tell them what to do. And I think that that's where finding gaps in the market in an industry where that you love is such a match made in heaven, because you've got that trust factor already built in, and you've got the knowledge of how to get them seen. And you're so right that the time poor of salon owners, I mean, they were already time poor before you throw social media
Literally.
at them. And I think also with all the lockdowns and things that are going on, there's way too much stress happening in that industry. And I think it's wonderful that you're out there providing that level of support for them. And as you said, you love educating and it comes naturally. So I think that's where small business owners, when you find a niche and a gap in something you love, it just flourishes. And as you said, you've been able to grow, and you've got wonderful things, you know, planned and coming. And I think that having that background of working in salons it just has to be of benefit. Have you found that the salon owners come to you because they know that you've had that background as well?
Yeah, very much so. If I was to say what people say they love the most as versus, you know, someone who's non-industry based, they always say, I just love that you get it. I love that we can drop all of our content into our Dropbox and you know exactly what we have to do, how to word it. There's no trying to explain what something is. I found they'd had people managing their pages in the past. And when I asked why hadn't it worked, it was, well, it just was too much hard work trying to explain, you know, the hair world, I guess. So yes, definitely that was a massive thing that they said was of value to them. Because again, it just meant more time educating somebody new on what, you know, how things worked in the hair world. So yes, for sure.
Yeah. So how are you finding as a small business owner yourself now? This is the first time running your own business, but in the same industry, but running your own. Is it a new way of doing things, having obviously young children and trying to run a business, and you're smashing it, you're doing wonderfully well. Underneath, are you overwhelmed at times yourself trying to get this stuff together? It's always good you do client stuff. Sometimes you just tend to forget about your own, but I see you out there doing your own reels and your own socials, and I'm just so inspired by you just being able to, I don't know, just keep up with your own as well as all those client stuff.
I started getting at the start of the year, as it started to grow and grow quite quickly. I realized that for me to be in my creative and to do, because I am a creative, I'm a hairdresser and I love that. And I still do hair. So for me, I'm like, I need to still have access to that. And, you know, being a mum of 2 little ones under 4 and a husband that works away, I'm like, well, I only have so much energy and I only have so much creative space. And so I was just very honest, I guess, with myself at the start of the year when I started to feel that overwhelm. And I knew I had 2 choices. I either scale back or I scaled up. And I've never really done things in halves. And everyone that knows me knows that that's just how I am. So I just went all in, and it's been the best decision that I've ever made, but it just required having some help. So yes, I have an amazing support with Nadia. And funny story, Nadia's mum actually gave me my apprenticeship 20 years ago and started me in the hairdressing industry. So for me, it was really important. One of my biggest core values in my business is trust. I must trust people around me. So for me, having Nadia part of my team, it was more family for me. So it was just a no-brainer. She's amazing on TikTok and all the things that I need her to be amazing on, and amazing in, sorry. And she's also currently studying digital marketing as well. So it's going to be amazing because it means we want to be able to offer additional services to our salons as well. So yeah, it's
That's it. It's the growing, isn't it? It's scary, but it's that thing, like I was saying, I've always said that everything you ever wanted is on the other side of fear. So when you're at that point of overwhelm, as you said, there's two choices: you scale back or you just go all in. And going all in, you're never going to be left wondering, are you, as to whether or not it would have worked, it could have worked. You will know, and there's always ways of getting support you need, like if it's a VA or if it's a digital assistant or just somebody who takes on the roles that light them up. Now, that's what I think. If we can, as business owners, identify the fact that we like certain things and certain things light us up, and that's what brings in the money, because originally that's what we were good at to start with. So the little things that might not light us up, we need to be able to outsource those to people where it's their jam and it lights them up. And then ultimately that's how you get a business that scales and grows with the right people in the right positions, because otherwise that's what happens, isn't it? With a husband away, two young kids, if you're trying to do it all yourself because you're trying to save money, what you'll end up doing is just hurting all of your clients and losing money ultimately. So I think that that's a wonderful lesson, or at least advice for those that might be at that point of looking at it. You would definitely recommend an all-in attitude if you possibly can.
Totally. And, I really believe that going all in is fine. You just need to be prepared that, like you say, you have to outsource. Like there's just no way. When I sat down, it looked everything and I was like, no wonder I'm feeling overwhelmed. There's so much happening and so much that I want to do. And the thing is I'm a creative. I'm not a bookkeeper. That's not my job. So there's professionals for that. So that's why I just chose to outsource all the things that I don't want to be doing and don't want to spend my time on. And since I've done that, I just feel like things are opening up even more for me, because I feel like energetically I'm just ready to take on what's new. And we're able to focus on what we really want to be doing more of, which is our Reels shoots, because I love them. It's just something we enjoy so very much. And again, it's supporting owners because they are time poor to get the content, because they're so busy making sure they're looking after their clients behind the chair. So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. And they're doing exactly the same thing we're just talking about. They're outsourcing the things that don't light them up so they can concentrate on what does. And I think if that would be definitely the biggest takeaway, is that, because I think that is what small business owners struggle with the most. And I think it's that taking a leap of faith that by outsourcing, you will be able to open that door to more work coming your way to cover that cost. And a lot of people say as soon as they outsource, out of the blue comes work that covers that cost. And it's not just a coincidence. It's because you are energetically out there showing up as your authentic self and just attracting new work to you, which you can't do if you are overwhelmed with all the other stuff. So it is true. It's hard to take in when you're a solopreneur early stage and you're doing everything yourself, but it is definitely the way to go. Now, Reels. Now, that is something that obviously is a huge thing for a lot of businesses now, and growing reach and being seen. What are you finding are the trends when it comes to Reels for Salon, or just Reels in general? What are you finding when you're creating the content these days?
The biggest success we have with our clients' pages with Reels are very much transformational content, like taking that customer on that journey and showing them, people, I feel like, I always say to my clients, Reels are like reality TV, and it gives people a little snippet into, oh, that's what they do to get that. Even though they would never do it themselves, it's just about showcasing those snippets of the process, which again, really, like I say to them, it just establishes them as the authority, because they go, wow, they know what they're doing. They see them creating that beautiful hair. They see them at the basin, painting through on those ends, and then they see that result, or they see how they've just taken it from being, a really bad before to an incredible after. And when you pair it with an amazing audio that, is again in alignment with the brand of the salon, it just brings it together. It's just magic. I love it. I could edit Reels all day. I could go and shoot Reels all day, because again, I know the value that client's going to get out of it for themselves. And also team, like anything team, creating that connection. And this is what another thing I say to my salons is, it's all well and good to put a page of beautiful hair, but you're not just selling beautiful hair anymore on Instagram. It's very much clients come because they want to connect, and they want to see, who is that person? If I'm booking in with them, who am I getting on the day? You know, it's a real little snippet into their life, or showing their salon space, you know. So yeah, definitely for hairdressers, I feel like all of that is the best kind of content that converts. And just for me, reels are where it's at. Like, it's just, yeah, I love it.
It just is my favorite. When I was first introduced to reels for salon, you know, through my feed, natural feed, was the haircut, you know, when people would hold the hair and then the next reel they'd pull in, it would be a completely gorgeous shortcut, or you know, that sort of stuff is scroll stopping, isn't it?
Totally.
And also it really does show before and after in an instant, and that's what reels are so good at. Within 30-60 seconds you can have a whole idea about what a salon is about, and again, how you vibe with that salon. That sort of you know, the focus of branding that they're building through their reels is important, and that goes across all industries. It's about, people think, well, obviously I have a bricks and mortar store, I can't do reels, I can't do, you know, you don't have to show your face. You can show products, you can do stop motion, you can do so much out there.
Yep.
And if you're overwhelmed with it, it is about getting someone who, like you just said, you could do it all day every day. Why would you not want somebody who loves it that much to do it for you, or at least explain it to you and, you know, help you guide you through that? Because yeah, we can't all be reels experts, otherwise there would just be way too many of the same type of people. Takes all sorts, and I love that, because you can learn from people and in different industries. I love the reels in the hair industry, and it really inspires me in reels I do for my own clients in other industries, because we forget, we get so trapped in our own industries of what everyone is doing, and we tend to just be the same.
Yep.
So what I normally tell people is try and step out of those industries, look around. What are other people doing? How can you take what other people are doing and adjust it to work in your industry? Because that's where inspiration will come. Have you found that as well?
Yeah, very much so. It's always your unique creations that you do with reels that definitely stand out, because again, you know, like, there are so many hairdressers around the world, so you're competing for that space, you know. And the thing is even when I started reels 18 months ago, reels were not such a big thing, you know, in the hair world. Obviously, when they first came out, you know, everyone was just doing photos. So you could do a very basic reel and it would go amazing. But now, you know, there's a lot more hairdressers onto reels, and there's a lot more of that. So creating more of that unique content is definitely what's going to help to stand out for sure.
Yeah, it's just, it's about making sure that when you're doing reels, isn't it? It's the scroll stopping, it's the instant transitions, it's getting people's attention, but it's also, as you said, about standing out in the industry that is now, it's a lot more competitive to be in there. So I think it's about, how do you identify and become an authority in your own market through either niching down into a certain brand voice or a certain client that you want to talk to, and stop marketing to everyone, because it will allow you to create reels that cut straight through and talk to people in particular.
100%.
I love it. I love it. Oh, we could talk reels all day. Anything to do with. I know. Now, how can people find you and find all the services you offer, and just if they want to be inspired by the reels you create yourself, how can they find you?
Yes, they can find us on Instagram at Salon Society Oz is our handle name, and also we are on Facebook, and we're actually also on Pinterest.
Oh, I love Pinterest.
Yeah, we're just starting to get into the Pinterest world now as well. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, it's been awesome to talk to you, and the journey has gone 360. And I think that that's why this is an awesome podcast for people who might be starting out in an industry and wondering where they will go later on. There's so much option for things that light you up, and looking out for those gaps in a market that you might be able to fill with a skill set that you love, which you've done. And I think also the fact of work-life balance and being able to outsource the tasks that you don't necessarily love is another key takeaway, because it will, as you said, attract new clients that normally cover the cost of those outsourced things, because your energetics are much more aligned with what you're doing. And from those two things alone, I think people can take away and use in their own business. As I said, whatever industry, but if you're in the hair industry and you're a salon, you know to hit Renee up, because she's got your back and she's been there, done that. And I think that that's an important thing as well. You don't have to do it all. There are people who can do it and do it very well. It's been lovely to chat, and I look forward to following you online. And everyone pop over to Instagram and check out the reels that are happening over there.
Thanks so much, Nicola.
Okay, see ya.
Bye.